How am I sounding on the levels?
You straight over there. You found some buds with a microphone on it. Is that what that is there? Or?
No, this is just to hear the audio, and that way it's not coming back through the speakerphone.
Certainly comes through clear. Everybody's nice and clean right now.
I think that did your trick.
Dang.
I'm already recording, by the way. So CrackBacks.
Oh yeah.
We're here after the draft. Here with the boys, Reeky Leaky, and of course Digital Wookie down below there. We got
Hit me up on Twitter.
PG in the house. Gets. How we doing with the quarantine, boys? You got a little cabin fever yet?
If there's anybody out there that can cut hair, hit me up.
Please, I need it so badly.
Yo, I've been rocking hats for real, yo. I never really inside the house just be chilling with a hat on. No, I've been chilling with a hat on recently.
I've been trying to get the man. You know, I cut the old man's hair. I've been trying to get him to go straight mohawk for a while now, and he's bitching out. He's not doing it, so I think I just might do it myself.
Is he still going to work?
I think I might go straight mohawk.
He's still going to work though, right? Would they frown upon that?
He works like every day. That's what he said. He was like, "Oh, I can't do that. I'm a manager." I was like, "There's no servers in there. There's no customers in there. They come and get pickup food. They don't care if you have a mohawk."
You can get away with it right now just saying that, yo, I mean, there's no barber. I had to cut
it's
my
quarantine.
hair.
It's quarantine.
Is this quarantine going bald thing legit? Did LeBron go fully bald? Because that shit may never grow back if he actually did that.
I mean, he's bald already.
He paid for those.
Oh, yeah. It's the – let's not get into where the hairs came from.
But if you two need a haircut, I'm nice with the clippers. I only ask for a free meal, a nice hot plate. I'll come and do it myself.
Let me see your work. I need to see your work.
As an experiment right now, because
I cut Sage's hair every week.
I can manicure my own beard. I keep the beard in check, but the hair, I want to see how long before the wife makes me cut it. So we're.
Are you gonna go afro, or are you gonna go like El DeBarge?
I can't go afro. My hair is too like thin. It lays down. I'm somewhere in between DeBarge and afro.
Well, back in the day, you had like a mini bob, like a sideshow bob.
Never that long. It never came down.
It was like
to the
here,
shoulder.
Right?
It was up to here. Never down to the shoulder. It was never that.
Why don't
long.
you do that again?
Always. I don't know if I have as much hair as I used to. Back those early '80s you're talking about. My hair was still. I'll throw some pictures up on the Instagram.
Your hair is strong. Early '80s. What the fuck you talking about?
Or when I'm talking with the hair.
I'm talking about when you guys went to the soccer game. And
the blowout. Oh yeah, that's an Olympic
Hooks,
level blowout. Yeah,
Hooks was hitting on all the Brazilian girls.
Yeah, we'll learn about Hooks later on here as well when we start talking soccer. That was. I used to get it cut right to the ear, and everything else on the top was wild. Put a headband on when I was playing ball. Well, we're getting way sidetracked here. Come talk about my hair.
We got time, man. We got time. Ain't no sports.
We don't have nothing but time right now. We got a little bit of sports to talk about. The draft just happened over the weekend. Enrique just had a sly little smile over there because he got some guys he wanted in the draft. I missed out on my number one guy, but I am okay with my draft. We're going to talk about Getz's in a moment here. We got a little segment called Draft Board coming up. But we're going to start with a few grades here. We're not going to grade the entire draft, but I guess you said you had a couple of people you want to toss some grades at.
I don't really want to toss out grades. I want to talk about people doing post-draft grades, because honestly, I mean, we all talk about our teams. Me especially, like I know a lot of the players coming out, so there's certain people that I want. There's certain people that get picked that I don't want. So I kind of give my own team like, I don't like that pick. I like this pick. But these people, like in the mainstream media that give full draft grades like the day after, like A+, C-, I think it's complete bullshit. You don't know if those players are going to be good until like 3-4 years down the line. Nobody knows. This guy, Pete Prisco on CBS, awful, terrible. Guy knows nothing about football. Every article I've ever read from him, I've been like, this guy don't know shit. And yet he gets on there after the draft every year and gives out, like I said, C+, A-, B+. This guy fits this guy fits that. You don't even know if that dude's going to be good. Some guys are good in college. They don't translate. Some guys are incredible in college and are busts.
And
some guys in college
trick you.
Some guys in college you've never heard of. Some guys in college you've never heard of that turn into superstars. Did anybody know who Tyreek Hill was before the draft?
No. I didn't know who Khalil Mack was until like 2 weeks before the draft.
Yeah, man. Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Khalil Mack. Come on.
The only thing I remember from Khalil Mack, for some reason, I was very bored in his senior year, the one game he had on primetime when he was at Buffalo against Ohio State. I saw him, and I was like, wow, that guy's pretty good. But that's really the only time I ever saw him before the NFL was that one game, his last year in college against Ohio State, because it was on ESPN. That's it.
Now, final thought. You know I'm an NFL historian. I try to educate the audience. Papa Get's going to give you another story. From the 1989 NFL Draft, number 1 overall pick, Troy Aikman, Hall of Famer. Number 3 overall pick, Barry Sanders, maybe the best running back ever.
You take that maybe out.
Number 4 overall pick, Derek Thomas, one of the best outside linebackers ever, kind of like an LT clone. Number 5 overall pick, I don't have to educate anyone in this room right here, Deion Sanders, best cornerback that ever lived. Notice I left out the number 2 pick because you know who he was?
Why did you leave out the number 2 pick, Getz?
Anybody my age is going to remember this name. Enrique, you might not. The number 2 pick went to the Green Bay Packers offensive tackle, Tony Mandarich.
The incredible bulk.
The incredible bulk, exactly. Because he was 6'6", 330 going into the draft, went to the combine, ran a 4.6. Sports Illustrated did a story on the guy saying he was the best offensive line prospect ever. Didn't even make 2-3 years. And these guys want to give out draft grades. Because I guarantee you the next day after that draft, people were saying, oh, the Packers got their left tackle for the next 10 years. The fucking guy sucked. He was roid baked.
He ended up he played like 3 years at the very tail end of his career for the Colts, but they kicked him inside. He ended up playing guard. He should have been a 3rd or 4th round pick if it wasn't for steroids.
He was a big time recruit, went to Michigan State, recruited by Nick Saban, by the way. Like I said, coming into
game for a minute
and didn't care if they were on roids. Don't care. Go ahead, juice yourself up, son. We're going to win some games. The guy goes into the combine 6'6", 330 pounds, ran a 4.6. The Jets drafted a running back this year who ran a 4.65.
He's not on juice, though.
So yeah, I mean, the guy was an incredible prospect, but all those roids, you get into the NFL, and they have a regular testing schedule. Within 2 years, he was down to like 280, 290, and was getting pushed around on the field.
Yeah, he was out of the league, then he came back.
So my basic premise here is these post-draft grades 2-3 days after the draft don't mean shit. You don't know until like 3-4 years down the road who's going to be good, who's going to be a superstar, who's going to be a bust.
And sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's just situation you get into. So it might be those first 3 years they look like like a complete bust, and then change of scenery, everything clicks, and they start balling after that. So I agree with you. Those next day drafts, they don't really know shit. We'll find out on the field. Hopefully, we'll find out on the field. It's not delayed this year. They're talking about playing with no fans. We'll talk about something else. Another league that is talking about playing with no fans coming up in a little bit.
Well, Goodell said they're going ahead as planned with the schedule starting regular, August preseason games. There probably won't be any fans in the stadium, which I really don't care.
Me either.
I mean, as long as they're playing the games and I can watch them and I can draft my fantasy team.
It'll be weird, and I hope that the networks don't pipe in fake crowd noise. that shit. But
that's
kind of whack.
In regards to the draft, because I agree with you, and also what Joel said, because a lot of it's situation based, because you really have to get that coach that sees, okay, I see what this guy did back then. How can I elevate this in the next level? So I do agree with you in terms of these grades that these gurus give out after. But what I do look at is the prospect grade, like going into the draft. To me, that's important because that's based on film and athletic ability. Like I know you mentioned that 40 time. I didn't like Becton because he ran a 5.0 40. He's like you said, he's an offensive lineman. What does that matter? The 40 is overrated.
Means nothing.
The film, and there are some combine workouts that are more functional for his position. And at least doesn't have to be the best at, but at least be strong at, like the reps. You can't have an offensive lineman doing under at least 18 reps.
Tony Mandarich, 39 reps on the 225.
Yeah, see, that's
straight
roids
juice,
right
though.
there. But I'm not
This guy
saying you need 40 reps, but you can't be doing 15 either. Is
This
what I'm
guy
saying.
should have been an animal. This guy should have been in an NFL just like dropping people with one
You should have
fist.
been Larry Allen.
Like
if
for
you're
what?
that type of athlete, you're supposed to be Larry Allen.
Like for like wide receivers, for example, yeah, we look at the 40 time, but like the cone drill to show the agility for those routes, that's super important. For a running back, I think a 10-yard shuttle for a running back is more important than a 40-yard shuttle because you need that explosive burst to get
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the whole point of the combine was just to get everybody in the same building so that they could do medical on everybody. And then everyone everyone fell in love with the 40 times and the verts, and then they put it on ESPN. So there's nothing else going on in February after the Super Bowl, so we watch it. But that's what everyone's always enamored with the guy that shows out huge athletic ability, when a lot of times that person, you could be a fantastic athlete, not to switch sports up here, but a Tyrus Thomas, you could be a fantastic athlete.
Love that guy.
And to be a trash actual player of that sport.
That was a fun team to watch, man. Him and Big Baby in the tournament.
But he
was a fun
not
team to watch.
Not skilled enough to play in the NBA. Just a fantastic athlete that could run.
He should have been.
People.
You know what it was? They tried to make him like a scorer. He should have been more like a Rodman type. He had that type of like the second jump. He should have been a Rodman.
Agreed. Yeah, he never developed enough game to do what they were trying to make him do. And a lot of these guys in the NFL is going to happen for that there as well. So we're going to do a little quick segment instead of going through draft pick 1. How do you feel about that? Draft 2. How do you feel about that? We're going to do a little draft court here. I'm going to play the judge. We're going to have a plaintiff and a defendant here. The first case you're going to have to be the one prosecuting. The Eagles are being accused.
No problem.
The Eagles. First case, Eagles are being accused of wasting their first draft pick on Jalen Hurts when they had other needs.
The first pick was Jalen Reagor.
My apologies. Their second round draft pick. So the Eagles did the Eagles waste the second round draft pick on Jalen Hurts? Reek, you're going to be arguing that they made a value pick. You got the floor first, that they wasted the pick.
All right. First of all, absolutely wasted the pick. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. Second round pick, 53 overall. You had Denzel Mims, a guy who's 6'3", 210, 220. He looks like Terrell Owens in his body. He's probably just as fast. I don't know if he's going to be as good as skilled or as long. I mean, T.O.'s a Hall of Famer, top 5 all time. But the kid looks like Terrell Owens. And the Eagles needed wide receivers. So take that guy. You don't take Jalen Hurts with the second round pick. A lot of these dumb Eagles fans, I've been in the forums all week on Facebook, a lot of these dumb Eagles fans disguised as Wentz haters, they're like, oh, we got the backup quarterback. We get the backup quarterback because Wentz always gets hurt. Let me tell you something. Bullshit. Because if you really wanted to draft a solid backup quarterback, draft Eason. Draft the bigger guy who has the bigger arm, who has more of a Wentz-type skill set, so you could have the same type of offense. Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. Jalen Hurts was at Alabama and only won because they had NFL talent all around him and Derrick Henry running the zone behind him. That's the only reason he won at Alabama. Then they get in the NCAA championship game. The guy's choking it up in the first half, and Saban doesn't hesitate to pull him and put in a freshman in the championship game. The guy gets pulled in the second half.
Tua did ball, though.
Yeah, Tua balled out, but the dude got pulled. We're not talking about Tua. We're talking about Jalen Hurts, who got pulled. Then he went to Oklahoma, an offense and a coach that had just produced back-to-back Heisman Trophy winners at quarterback. Back-to-back dudes throwing for 5,000 yards. And Jalen Hurts throws for only 3,000, barely.
He also had arguably the best wide receiver in all of college football.
And he has this CeeDee Lamb guy running around, but he can only get to 3,000 yards, where the two quarterbacks before him got to 5,000. And everybody's like, oh, he's such a playmaker. Look at his stats. I don't care if he had 1,000 rushing yards. You're talking about bringing the guy into the NFL as a backup quarterback. First of all you people are dumb. That's not why they drafted him. They drafted him because of this Taysom Hill, Lamar Jackson thing going on in the NFL right now. And some more insider knowledge for you on the NFL. The Eagles rehired Marty Mornhinweg to be an offensive coordinator, offensive assistant. You know where he was the last couple of years? Baltimore, where Lamar Jackson is running all this crazy shit, this crazy-ass offense, and the Eagles have a thing where they tend to think they're smarter than the rest of the league. So they say, okay, the Taysom Hill thing is working. Lamar Jackson's tearing up the NFL, won the MVP. Let's draft a running quarterback that we can incorporate some of this stuff. So instead of actually drafting, the Eagles wanted to be a quarterback factory where we could draft quarterbacks and groom them and then trade them away. I would be fine if they drafted Eason to do just that and groom him a little bit. If Wentz gets hurt, he comes in. Then we trade him away, A.J. Feely style, for a second-round, first-round pick, whatever. But to these dumbass Eagles fans that think like, oh, yeah, we got the backup. This guy's a great quarterback. I've seen some of these idiots in Facebook comments saying, oh, only about 2 years before Hurts takes over.
It's always the brand. It's always the new flavor in town that a lot of those fans are gonna attach themselves to. Horrible pick, wasted pick. I was so souped because there was a couple teams in front of us that I thought were going to take Mims, and he didn't. He's sliding right there. I was so mad. I was going to do like a reaction video, and I was so pissed. I pressed the wrong button and took a picture of myself saying, "What?" when they took Jalen Hurts. Yo, you should send us that picture. We'll throw it up on the Instagram there. You're having some technical difficulties. You okay over there?
Yeah. My mic kind of fell a little bit. Kind of got to get that back in order.
That's swimming around over there. So, your stance is that the Eagles made a good decision by taking Hurts in the second round. Go ahead and elaborate.
All right. I'm going to do my best here to support this argument. it is a difficult one. I will say that.
Yes. Good luck.
But perspective, right? I'm going to give you perspective from my team. I know you said that they ran a different offense, but at the end of the day, you saw how bad the Jets' offense was when Darnold wasn't there. It's the NFL. Guys are still going to get hurt. So the front office is thinking, we got to have similar to a Nick – because Nick Foles didn't – a lot of people said Nick Foles – well, like Doug Peterson wasn't calling the same plays for Nick Foles that he was for Carson Wentz. So, they're running a different offense. So I think having a different style quarterback is irrelevant in the situation because Peterson can adjust. And apparently he will. That's really the only thing he can do. But they really wanted to address that backup quarterback situation. I know the Jets scored 8 points a game and were unwatchable with David Falls at quarterback when they were that one game on primetime.
Luke Falk.
They had Luke Falk, and David Falls. We had two of them.
That guy's name's not even worth remembering, so it's okay.
Where I see your beef with it, which I do agree, is that you can find that guy later. The Eagles are a win now team. The Jets also needed a
exactly.
Also needed a backup quarterback. We're taking a chance with this 4th round kid out of FIU who's got a big arm, big talent, cannon of an arm. But it wasn't. We didn't give him too much, and I honestly thought we could have got him a little further back in the draft too. That's my opinion, but a lot of scouts were saying he wasn't going to last to the 5th round.
3, 4,
and here's my thing:
4 or 5. Wherever you get somebody, you get somebody.
I'm not hating on the quarterback pick. Like I said, if they would have took Eason right there, I'm fine with it. But I watched this kid play at Oklahoma, and I was telling you guys all season, like, yo, this guy sucks. It's bullshit that he's up for the Heisman. He can't even throw the ball in an offense like Oklahoma where they're spread out all over the field. They got receivers everywhere. They got a nasty running back. And he would drop back. He would catch the ball in shotgun, drop back like 2-3 yards, and then start trying to, like, run and weave his way through the pocket. He wasn't even trying to throw. Let him try to do that in the NFL. Dude's going to get smoked.
So let me give you my verdict here. So I've listened to the arguments on both sides here about the Eagles if they wasted pick or not. So first off, I can't support anything with Taysom Hill involved on it. So right there,
oh my God,
in the favor right there. And you see Taysom Hill is actually making more money right now
than Jameis.
Yeah, than Jameis is. Absolutely ridiculous. The other thing is too is that at that point in the draft, you're right. It's in the 2nd round. It's a very deep draft. It's a deep draft in positions that you need. It's a deep draft positions that everybody needs. When you're looking at secondary help, you're looking at offensive line. There's real solid wide receivers in this draft, and you bypass all of that.
Shit. Sorry.
You bypass all of that. You know what's coming out when I make the video with that. You bypass all of that and take a suspect quarterback. Although I understand you bringing up the Eason. If you're going to take a quarterback, take Eason. But they didn't take Hurts because he's a great quarterback. They took Hurts because he's shifty and can run a little bit. So Eason wouldn't have fit that. He's not athletic like Hurts is. They're trying to be the smartest people in the room. And when you're trying
Always
to be the
are.
smartest,
Fucking Eagles always are, man. I'm sick of it.
when you're trying to be the smartest
Just
people
draft
in the
the
room,
best guy.
you throw on 3rd and 8 in the Super Bowl when you're in field goal range and the Patriots come back down 28-3. That's what happens. You try
Whoa.
you
Whoa.
outsmart yourself. So what the Eagles get for this draft is the Shanahan Award for outsmarting yourself and screwing yourself in the long run. Eagles guilty. They wasted a 2nd-round draft pick.
Horrible pick. Thank you.
Case number 2. On the flip side here, the team that didn't make a move and should have, the Redskins screwed up by not taking offers for teams to move up and get multiple picks to stay at number 2. And this is if Chase Young turns out to be a Hall of Famer, they still made the wrong decision by not trading out of 2 and getting other multiple picks. Who wants to argue that the Redskins made the right decision, and who wants to argue that they didn't?
I want to argue that they made the wrong decision.
Rick, you can go first, sir. The Redskins made the right decision taking Chase Young. He's a generational talent. We're talking about that he turns into LT. He turns into Reggie White. He turns into Bruce Smith. He's that type of player. Did they make they made the right decision not trading out of 2 when they had a lot of crazy offers?
So, well, that's the one caveat there, because from what I read is there was no real crazy offers. The people that had the most credible offers per se were just so far back in the draft that, the equation didn't add up. It wasn't a fair trade because, say, the team was like, in the late 20s, for example, that would have had to have been a trade for someone in the top, 10, 15. So it wasn't that they didn't get any good offers. It just was adequate to where the team was trading from where the team was trading from, if that makes sense. So, okay, this is a tough one again. You're giving me the tough one here on both sides.
Tonight,
yeah. We have to look at how, even though it was a 1-year thing, but we have to look at how Khalil Mack kind of changed everything for the Bears that first year he was there. And scouts are saying that he can have that kind of impact, kind of just change the whole defense. And with Ron Rivera, the team's going to have to win on defense and special teams and coaching because they're not going to score. I mean, we already know how we feel about Dwayne Haskins. So that's going to be a team that's going to be based on defense and special teams. That's going to be a team based on defense and special teams. So that's already there.
Come see me, Haskins.
And their line right now, I'd put those pass rushers with anybody in the league right now. You got that kid Sweat they drafted recently to go with Chase Young, and you still got Ryan Kerrigan.
And Jonathan Allen.
Now.
I'll take any of those guys on the Jets, to be honest. Any of those guys would be the number 1 pass rusher on the Jets right now.
They are building a bit of a monster line.
And Rivera is going to be the coach.
And he's the defense-first coach. So that's what
now
he wants.
They suck everywhere else, but they are making a good line.
They're going to have a crazy front 7 soon.
You said they wasted the pick. Go ahead.
I really don't know what the offers were, so I can see what Enrique's saying. Like, if they didn't get their doors blown off, go ahead and draft the guy if you think he's going to be a Hall of Fame talent. There's no way I see Reggie White, maybe Michael Strahan type comp. But like we've been saying, their defensive line is going to be ridiculous. Chase Young, Montez Sweat. They already have Kerrigan. They have Jonathan Allen in the middle. Ron Rivera is a defensive coach, so their front 7 is going to be bringing it. If you can, what I've known in NFL history, if you can put pressure on the quarterback with only the front 4 guys, you can defend anybody. The reason I say they should have traded it, and this is just my philosophy, we've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. If you can move back and get more and more players, whether it's a first-round pick, second-round pick, second and third next year, whatever it is, there's more chances, there's more rolls of the dice that guy you draft, whatever pick it is going to be good. And you can get NFL starters in the second and third round.
Okay. And so I'm on board with that as well. He is a generational talent. It kind of fits in with what they are looking to do there. Like that defense is really kind of shaping up. I was on record that I wanted to move up from 16 to 2 because I think this dude is as nasty as he possibly is. They weren't going to fix.
But you guys are also, a couple players away from winning the Super Bowl. You guys are close.
True.
The Redskins are terrible.
No, I agree with you. But you're getting a cornerstone guy.
So for them to take, my argument is for them to take this one guy and turn him into 4 or 5 starters. That's the best move for them.
There's a two-sided
Think of what
sword to that. They normally, this draft was weird because the Dolphins made good decisions, and it looks like the Redskins made a good decision. So you saying that, yeah, you want to move back and get multiple picks. I know I talk a lot of Atlanta because this one actually is pertinent. It fits to the conversation here. Atlanta moved from 26 up to 6 or 27 up to 6 to get Julio Jones. Cleveland.
And look what that did. You went to the bowl, man.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is on the flip side, Cleveland, all of those draft picks, there's 3 first-round picks.
That's Cleveland, though.
Nothing. So this guy is pretty much everyone's agreeing that he is a can't-miss prospect. You're building your defense from the pass rush back. And all of your quote-unquote stars, because I'll say McLaurin's one of their stars. It's going to be his second year. It's going to be Chase Young's first year. Haskins sucks, but second year. All the guys are super, super young because they can kind of grow together. So we're going to give the Redskins. They made a good decision this time. This time around here, Daniel Snyder didn't get in the way. They got that guy on the side. Even from a business standpoint, it's a good move to make. He's going to sell a shit ton of jerseys. People are going to tune in. You may get a few extra NFL tickets bought because, hey, the Redskins finally got somebody that's worth watching.
Local kid, too, from Maryland. Local kid.
Exactly, 100%. Third and the last case here, Aaron Rodgers is being accused of being a whiny bitch because Jordan Love was drafted. Jordan Love was actually drafted almost in the same scenario that he was. So, and I already know you hate Aaron Rodgers, so I'll give you a chance to argue that he is being a whiny bitch. And I'm putting you on the spot, Reek. The next time I'm going to give you some easy ones for sure. But is Aaron Rodgers being a whiny bitch that Green Bay drafted a quarterback?
Hell yeah, man. I'm tired of people being all up in Aaron Rodgers' feelings. When he got drafted and Brett Favre was there, he was a dick to Favre. Supposedly, they were in the cafeteria the first couple of days of camp, and Favre called him over to come sit at the table with him and the other quarterbacks, some of the receivers. So Favre actually attempted to take the kid under his wing and be cool with him, and they're sitting around the table cracking jokes. And Aaron Rodgers said to him, "Yeah, but I'm going to take your job, old man." To Brett Favre, a Hall of Famer who had already won a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers is still salty as hell because he slid in the draft. Everybody told him he was going to be number 1. He liked the Niners all his life, so he thought he was going to go there. Alex Smith went number 1. Aaron Rodgers sitting in the green room for 3 hours. Everybody remembers that back in the day.
The video with the suit that was too big and he's rubbing his face the whole time.
Whiny ass bitch. How do you go from Olivia Munn to Danica Patrick?
I knew that was coming out. Reek,
awful. Olivia Munn, hit me up, Digital Wookie.
Reek, does he have beef with the Green Bay Packers for drafting Jordan Love?
All right, I'm going to step back first and take a macro view of the entire situation. What?
Oh,
he's been a starter since when? 2009 was it?
It might be
2009 or maybe 08. So that's what you're looking at over 10 years. To me, it's a disappointment that in over a decade they've only won 1 Super Bowl.
Yes.
I know you because to me, my eyes, Aaron Rodgers is by far the best quarterback I've ever seen. What he can do on the field to make up for the deficiencies of the Green Bay Packers in my lifetime, I didn't because I'm younger. I never saw that. I didn't see Montana in his prime, and obviously Brady is really good. But I give it's 50-50 with him and Belichick, where we saw. I mean, I don't know how good you think of a Coach McCarthy is. I guess we'll find out with the Cowboys.
That's going to be laughable.
So add the fact that number one, it's been over 10 years, and probably one of the best quarterbacks of all time has only won 1 Super Bowl, and that's a disappointment. Number two, we know the ESPN showed us a stat how he's only thrown a touchdown pass to 1 receiver, or not even a receiver, just 1 player that's been drafted in the first round. So you have Aaron Rodgers for 10 years, and you don't at least 1 year invest a first-round draft pick on skill position for him. To me, that makes no sense. I get that you want to have that replacement for Aaron Rodgers, but he's 36. The NFL, if you listen to my AFC North predictions podcast, I talk about how age 38 is the magic number for quarterbacks now. If you look at some of the top quarterbacks, which I believe he belongs in that category, they've all had phenomenal years at 38. And he's 2 years away from that. So I think he has a solid 4 years left where I think that quarterback of the future could be addressed later. I don't think you're going to – because even with drafting him now, you're not going to have him sit 2 years. You're going to have him sit 1 year max. Aaron Rodgers is going to be gone after that.
Well, they can't get out from under his contract for 2 years. His cap number is huge if they get rid of him in the next 2 years. So they got him for at least 2 more years, and then Jordan Love be ready to go. The thing I'm saying to you is if Jordan Love, if all these NFL scouts are saying that he compares to Pat Mahomes, and they got him at 26. Now, Aaron Rodgers is a pretty good quarterback, so they're probably going to be in the playoffs. They're going to be drafting at the end of the first round for the next couple of years. This might be their only opportunity to get a young franchise quarterback. So if it was Mahomes sitting there, knowing that we know who Mahomes is now, and they went up and got him, that might be one of the best draft picks in years.
I'm not feeling the pick, to be honest with you. I haven't heard the comp of Mahomes. I'm hearing more Kaepernick.
Yeah, I see Kaepernick. I don't see any Mahomes.
I'm seeing a lot of Kaepernick.
Have you watched the film?
I've watched a little bit of it, but everybody looks good in highlights. I mean, I didn't dig in there and watch that, the amount of film that Mayock does. What I saw, he looked pretty good, but everybody looks good in highlights.
Every one of his throws is right on their hands or right on their shoulders in stride.
He is also playing
he's playing at
defense around him.
He's playing at Utah State, where every single team they play has better players. A lot of the film they showed was them playing Michigan State, them even playing Utah, who gets better talent than Utah State.
But I mean,
so every time he's on the field, he's playing against better competition, and he was still balling.
But he's thrown one less pass to a first-round receiver than Aaron Rodgers has in his whole career. So,
and let me tell you something really funny. Let me tell you something really funny, real quick. In this debate here, we talk about draft analysis. So I actually do read NFL.com's draft analysis a lot because I like how they give the NFL comparison. I don't think you guys will ever guess who they gave the player comparison to Jordan Love. I'm gonna say because you won't guess it. Blake Bortles. So
oh my God!
So you're saying
That's
that
bad.
Green Bay took a first-round pick for Blake Bortles
when you needed receivers?
Blake Bortles was the top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
And
that doesn't mean he was any good.
I love UCF. He was an absolute bust. That guy when he beat Baylor in the Sugar Bowl, I thought he was going to be. We thought at one point he was going to be the first pick overall. Like, Houston's going to take this guy. And he choked it away. But anyway, like I said, the Jordan Love thing, he's thrown one less touchdown to a first-round draft pick than Aaron Rodgers did. Go ahead and check the Instagram page for the answer of who the one receiver that Aaron Rodgers threw it to. I'll toss that up on the gram. That's at CrackBacks954. They could have gotten – you keep bringing up Eason. Eason plays more like Rodgers than Love does. So they could have waited to the second round. Even to the third, because Eason started slipping.
Who knew Eason was going to slide that far, though?
Quarterback there. You knew he wasn't going to go in the first round. So if you're going to move, maybe move back.
I mean, we were all saying the Patriots were going to take Eason at the end of the first round.
But apparently all the NFL teams do something we didn't because he kept slipping. Nobody took him.
They were saying poor work ethic, too much ego.
That's why I like that fit, though, with the Colts. By the time he's ready to start, the offensive line's still going to be pretty good.
And Philip will slap him around a little bit and get him. In order. But
Phil's got like 12 kids. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, man. Seriously,
the Green Bay Packer pick there, they most certainly rushed that pick. Rodgers has 3-4 years left. They did win the one Super Bowl in spite of Mike McCarthy, terrible football coach. We'll see that this year in Dallas.
I remember when
ever gave the guy anybody to throw to.
I remember when Joe Montana was winning Super Bowls. And he had a couple years left because he went to Kansas City and still took them to the AFC Championship. But the Niners said, hey, we got Steve Young right here. Let's slide him in and win another Super Bowl.
But Jordan Love is no Steve
Young.
He's not Steve Young, exactly.
If Jordan Love comes out and goes nuts and is a great young quarterback, then nobody's ever going to question this pick.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a comp here. The NFL.com gave him a comp of Blake Bortles. I'm going to give you a comp of an old Baltimore Raven, Tony Banks. That's who Jordan
That's
Love
not
would have
fair.
told her not to.
That's not fair. That's not fair. Tony Banks is terrible.
Tony Banks really was bad.
So, and
We'll be
also,
back in a minute, though. We're about to run out of the first segment here. We're going to pay some bills and come back in here a second. CrackBacks.
Wakandate.com, Wakanda's first and only dating site. Filtered by tribe, superpower, or how friendly they are with the colonizers. Wakandate.com. Tell them, Forrest, it is where the panther hunts for a mate. Wakandate.com.
Something of, how you call it? Him getting dunked on. You put the doctor's face or something on there. I'll figure it out. All right, so I got it rolling right now. So, all right, the CrackBacks, we are back. Had a few bills to pay there. Weird stuff going on. We've been stuck in the house for weeks on end here. We don't know when that's going to go back to normal, when life is going to get, even normal with a mask walking around the house. Walking outside the house is getting kind of normal. But sports are trying to get back up and running. Padme in the house. You can see Padme the Frenchie.
wanted to get up here.
Yeah.
Riding shotgun.
Sports are trying to get back in business here because they have TV contracts and they have bills to pay. I'm all for it because I know we're all bored at home with nothing new to watch. Already been through Netflix 3 times. So
I'll tell you who is in business. Fuzzy's Taco Shop. Go over there, get yourself a fajita quesadilla. You want the chicken or the steak? It's like a fajita with the peppers and the onions and the juiciness inside a quesadilla with the sour cream and the pico de gallo. The shrimp tacos are delicious. Get yourself a margarita, get yourself a Moscow Mule, maybe some Dos Equis, or just a nice ice-cold fountain Coke. Fuzzy's Taco Shop. Delicious.
Do they have the Dos Equis Amber?
Yes.
They do.
That's the good one. That's the good one.
that is
The
a-
Amber's
have
a
all
good
the
one.
Mexican
Fuzzy
beers.
Tacos, friend
But-
of the program.
Hey, but Joel, back to what you were saying about watching on TV. Have you guys watched any of the virtual games they were putting on ESPN? Supposedly, they had an MLB The Show on with one of the guys from the Yankees playing somebody from the Diamondbacks, I think.
No, I couldn't do any of that. I
haven't watched it either. I haven't seen it either.
I watched literally 6 minutes of horse.
People playing horse?
They had NBA guys playing horse. When I put it on, it was
Brutal.
It was Mr. Big Shot, Chauncey
Billups.
Billups. There you go. I went blank for a second there. Chauncey Billups and Trey Young. Chauncey Billups has like a nice court like at his house, and Trey Young's like in his driveway on a Walmart rim. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And then they cut to another one. They showed it. They put it on Sports Center like it was a real event. I mean, there's nothing else to talk about.
It is right now.
Chris Paul has an indoor, like a nicer gym than some colleges. Like his court was nice. I want to go play at Chris Paul's house. And Zach LaVine has a whole complex. He has a full baseball field on his property.
They got millions, man. You telling me you wouldn't?
And he lives in Minnesota. Not in Minnesota. I'm sorry, Washington. He lives in Washington State.
You were souped on the guy in Fort Worth that had a bonfire in his back.
If you have 5 acres, you have more than enough space to do all of that.
And Sam's got a little soccer thing in his backyard, man. If you had millions, you'd have a basketball court, swimming pool,
I'm not
everything.
hating at all. I would want the indoor one though. I would want to be in there, rain, shine, no wind. But yeah, that certainly, absolutely, I would have. So sports with no fans. Because I mean, there were no fans there either. They had their kids like shooting on Zoom or whatever while they were playing horse. But UFC has an event coming up. What, next Saturday?
May 9th. We're doing a UFC segment next week.
It's in Jacksonville, right?
Yeah, and there's nobody in Jacksonville anyway, so the no fans doesn't matter.
Well, it's certainly nobody going to the Jaguars game. It's gonna feel weird though, because the athletes themselves. I mean, they
you know what though?
Feed off of that, off the crowd.
Strictly UFC. They had an event a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, of them in an arena with no fans, and it was actually kind of cool. I mean, definitely the energy of the fans is cool, and hearing all the fans get all hyped up is cool. But actually being able to hear the fighters inside the cage, like talking to each other, and then you hear how hard the hits are and some of the kicks was actually pretty cool. So I don't think UFC is going to suffer at all. Obviously football, especially college football, which kind of plays off the crowd, that's going to be a little bit weird, a little bit different. But me personally, I don't care. I just want to see the sports. I want them to play.
Absolutely. One of the things with UFC is it's pay-per-view, so you don't need to you don't have to censor anything.
They're going to make their money.
It's going to have to be on a 10-second delay, 20-second delay once it goes to the professional sports that are played on broadcast TV. Because if you're going to be able to hear everything, we all know what's said down, on actual field. So there's going to be a lot of bleeping. They're going to have some background music or something. They'll probably have, they'll have the commentators and everything still, but we won't have the same access that we'll have for the UFC.
And I know also in Italian soccer, they've already done games with no fans pre-corona. I mean, it's mostly been because I know like they had one last year because there were people throwing bananas on the stadium, so they suspended the fans for the next game. Still racist hell over there.
Balotelli. Right? Yes.
No, this was actually at Lukaku last year. But yeah, it did happen to Balotelli.
Lukaku.
It did happen to Balotelli years ago. It did happen to Balotelli years ago, but last year specifically, that game was Lukaku.
How are they going to mess with Lukaku? First of all, none of those fans would step to Lukaku if it was
hell no. Hell no.
My man is huge.
Huge.
Not to be racist, but he looks like a gorilla.
Anytime you start out a sentence with "not to be racist," something racist coming out of your mouth right after. But so baseball starting up.
He's huge. He's jacked.
He is jacked. You saw a something about baseball coming out earlier.
Yeah, so I saw supposedly somebody that they have like a Schefter guy from MLB Network that was inside the negotiations and everything that they're talking about with the owners. And what they're thinking about right now, which I think is pretty cool, is just jumpstarting the season right around July 4th, do a quick 100-game regular season. And instead of having the teams broke up the way they are, which would be a lot of travel the way it usually is, they were going to take the entire Major League Baseball, so all 30 teams, break it up into 3 divisions. So there'd be an East Coast division, a West Coast division, and everybody in the middle. So, for example, the East Coast division would be NL and AL. It would be like Red Sox, Yankees, Mets, Phillies, Nationals, Braves, Marlins. Obviously West Coast would be like Mariners, Angels, Dodgers, Giants, and then whoever the hell is in the middle, Cubs, St. Louis, Milwaukee, Kansas City.
And everybody else out west.
Yeah, so there would be a quick 100-game regular season, and then they would go right into the playoffs as normally scheduled. The playoff teams, I'm guessing they would probably do it the way we do fantasy is the 3 division winners, 2 highest division winners get the buys, and then everybody else is like wild cards, however many teams they would need to fill it up. I don't know if they're going to do, 3-game series, 5-game series, but I'm assuming eventually the NLCS, ALCS, and World Series will be 7.
What do they do in college? Because I honestly have never watched a college World Series game. So
it's brutal. It's brutal. It's like a round robin tournament, and they do like 2 losses and you're out.
All right. Yes. All right. So then it's like I thought it was. I honestly thought it was going to be like a little 3-game series, but it's almost like an NCAA basketball tournament, but you would do them in 3-game series instead of the 1 game like you would have in basketball. That I would watch.
The baseball guy did say that this entire 100-game regular season would be no fans. They would play it in the major league parks, in all the, the home parks. So the players would get the advantage of, sleeping at home and training at home and being in their home city, but there would just be no fans. Once the playoffs start, they might bring the fans back.
Baseball is going to be weird. There's so much downtime in baseball, and if there's no fans, to watch. It's just going to be a ball clanking around chairs instead of somebody making a catch in the stands now. I think of all the sports, the one that's going to suffer the most is baseball for having no fans because of how slow it is. Soccer's nonstop. You just focus on where the ball is and something's happening every 2 seconds. Football, yeah, I mean, it's stop and go, but when it's going, it's going. Basketball, going all the time. Baseball, there's so much downtime that, you would do all the other rituals in between. The wave.
Baseball on TV is boring as it is to me.
Yeah, baseball on TV is background noise. That's what it is. You put that on when there's nothing else on and you clean
when you're trying to take a nap.
Yeah, you just want you just want something so it's not dead silent. You're making dinner or something. You can't really pay attention to what's on TV. You throw the Marlins game on and watch the Marlins is the same thing. They've been playing in front of no fans now for Since what, 03 when they won the World Series?
Since Juan Fernandez died.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's
What? That's the truth.
R.I.P. He would.
I didn't crash the boat.
He would have been a friend of the program.
Maybe if you didn't have some Cuban dude sucking him off, he wouldn't have crashed.
Oh.
The thoughts of at Digital Wookie are his own and don't necessarily reflect the thoughts of Ricky Leaky or Mr. Big Pedro. Just rolling that out there just in case.
My bad for keeping it real. So while we're talking about these sports seasons, I think the NBA should do a March Madness style tournament with just one game, one off. Whatever the playoff rankings are, when they stopped, just go, 16 teams.
Nah, to
one
hell
game.
with the playoff rankings. Throw everybody in there. It's a whole new world, man.
Oh, you want the Knicks to be in the playoffs?
Not even just the Knicks.
You want the Knicks to be Davidson or Butler?
Toss everybody in there, man.
I'm down for that too. That would be cool, man.
Watch somebody get hot. I want to see Ja Morant get hot and take Memphis 2 rounds deeper than they should have. Or, Rudy Gay actually lives up to his potential and takes San Antonio 3 rounds in. That would be entertaining to be at there. Just toss everybody in there.
But the one-game March Madness style would be so dope.
Yeah, if you're doing a one-game March Madness style, you're definitely putting the entire league in. And they're not going to do one game. They're going to do 3-game series. What they'll probably do is 16 teams, 3-game series. And then the finals would be a
3-game series all the way out. Okay, final 7.
And then the finals would be a 7-game series. That's and when I say 3-game, I mean the first to 3. So a 5-game. No, I take that back. 3-game series. Yeah, if you win 2 games, you win the series.
I know they would probably do 3 games because that's more television money for them.
But if it would have to be the first to 3 wins, so then that's a 5-game series.
I like the March Madness lose and you're out. It makes every game count, man.
Absolutely.
Imagine like the buzzer beaters in the NBA for like a one-off tournament.
Here's an idea. Just the little light bulb here. You take your teams, the top 10, 20 teams in the league, right? So I take that back. It's 8 teams in each conference usually make the playoffs. So you take your division winners and you put them in right away. You guys are in the playoffs. Everybody else goes into a tournament. And it seeds down to them. And then when it gets down to it, you get to the folks who are put their slots in from win the division. Then it goes to a 3-game series. Finals is a 7-game series. That would be dope because then you have teams. You have Orlando trying to be Cinderella.
Yeah, there will be some crazy team that nobody expects that gets in.
Something's going to happen. That would be
and that's what makes the tournament dope. Is teams like Davidson had that run, Kent State, Butler, all these teams that nobody expects, and all of a sudden they're in the Final Four.
Yeah.
Who was that team a couple years ago with the nun that used to travel with them?
Oh, Loyola.
Yeah.
Loyola, Chicago.
They balled out too. That one guy, he got drafted. I have to look his name up. He got drafted, but didn't stick in the league. There was a 2-guard on that team that was balling.
He was too slow. He could shoot, but he was too slow.
He was a little undersized too. He was just a solid size college guard. There are people that can ball out in college, and then it doesn't translate. A lot of them come from Michigan State for whatever reason. Sean Restford balled in college. Sean Restford was nasty.
Here's an old name. Do you remember Rayford Alston?
Rayford Alston, Skip to My Lou. He was a playground legend.
Yes,
playground legend in New York. You have guys like Mateen Cleaves, balled in college at Michigan State. And then you have another guy I'm going to bring up now who's one of we have 2 Haskins of the week this week. And Haskins here, if you're new to the program, Dwayne Haskins is the dumbest human being on the face of the earth. He would be a friend of the program if he wasn't the dumbest person on the planet. So Dwayne Haskins, we got 2 of them here. Draymond Green, Michigan State Spartan, power forward on the former champion Golden State Warriors, is lumping himself on to Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, not as a teammate, not as a fellow champion. He is saying that the 3 of them changed, and I will quote him here, changed the motherfucking game. So the 3 of them Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, the Splash Brothers. I never heard Draymond Green included as a Splash Brother.
No, he was never one of the brothers.
They didn't even include Durant, who should have been a Splash Brother. But Draymond is attaching himself to that is the dumbest thing I've heard. He's a role player. Salute. He's a role player that landed on a in a perfect situation on a team with some superstars on it, and he's won some rings for it. Just shut up and be happy, man. Don't try to elevate yourself more.
Luckiest guy on earth.
He's Robert Horry. That's all he is. He ran into the right situation. That's it. He would
be a good role player on other good teams, but for him to act like he's some kind of generational player is absolutely ridiculous. And he chased Durant out of there.
Yeah, and
good job, man. You had a chance to be one of the best teams ever and roll off like 6-7 titles, but you wanted to be a tough guy and bully the dude and run him out of town.
All I gotta say is put some respect on his name. I met Draymond in Europe. Shout out to Draymond, that's my boy. I'll never disrespect him. I don't care what you guys are saying. You may be right, you may be wrong, but that is genuinely one of the best guys I've ever met. I probably hung out with him for like 4 hours. Met his fiance now. He was out there, touring Europe.
So
just came from Santorini, Greece.
Show, not tearing him up.
Absolutely, Draymond. You remember me. You told me that if I went to live that Saturday, you'd hook it up with VIP. I tore my ACL, so I was not gonna be dancing anywhere. I was still wearing my brace, but the invite is the thought that counts because I never would have made it over there, and I got stuck in Europe.
You got to send him the link. You got to send him the link on Twitter. We'll hit him up on Twitter. We'll send him the link to the show. He's got to come on now. You guys are tight.
And then you can defend yourself for the comments you made, so we can have insight because. Reporters, they like to take one little piece of what someone says and then turn it into something. Maybe he didn't say that. We got to give Draymond a chance to defend himself because that's a paraphrase quote of the entire piece that he told a reporter.
Fair enough. Draymond, come on the podcast, defend yourself. Because if the story as it came out on the Twitterverse is true, you kind of look a little bit like a jackass because you are, the third. You're not even the third wheel. They are still a bicycle. You're like one of the things that slips over the handlebars with the streamers at the end of it.
Damn, disrespect.
That's where you are. Like
you called them a handlebar cover.
It's
Come on, Draymond, defend yourself. Get on the show.
You didn't even call them the handlebars or the brakes or something. You called them a handlebar cover.
What I'm saying is, it's cool that you're there, right? And you make it cooler because you make it cooler. But if those are gone, you're still getting from spot A to spot B. They're still winning championships, whether Draymond's there or not. If Draymond Green's on any other team other than the Golden State Warriors, here's a name, Reek, former Knick. He's Malik Rose. If he's on any other team,
disrespect
other than the Golden State Warriors, he is Malik Rose. Hot take. I'm gonna put flames up for me. Hot take.
Draymond, get on the show and defend yourself. Let's go. Get on the show.
Come on here and tell us why you're not Malik Rose.
I think Draymond is better than that. I just think.
Me too.
I just think
he's better than that.
I just think him including himself with change the game forever is a little bit ridiculous.
Malik Rose.
Yeah, I mean he was what essentially like what if there's a comparison, it's like what Rodman did to the Bulls. Every championship team needs that scrappy guy, but that's not. I'm not criticizing you, Draymond. You're my boy, but that's not changing the NBA. Being that utility guy that do everything. He's not the first to do that.
He's no word.
And Iguodala was better on that team in the same role.
Agreed. 100%.
Iguodala was the defensive stopper that they put on LeBron, not Draymond.
Absolutely. So we got Kendrick Perkins is the other one. You say Kendrick Perkins.
Here we go. I'm not exactly sure what the order was, but Kendrick Perkins, who is an ESPN contributor, he put up a list of his top 5 small forwards in NBA history. And Joel, you can drop the picture right here while we're talking. I'm not sure exactly of the order, but he had LeBron James number 1, Larry Bird number 2. I forget Who
No,
does?
I got
Oh,
you.
Scottie Pippen was 3.
Durant was 4.
Kevin Durant was 4, and then he put Paul fucking Pierce at number 5. Utter disrespect for Dr. J. All right, Julius Erving, Michael Jordan, and Scottie Pippen both say they modeled their game after Julius Erving, number 6, Dr. J. And I would say those Bulls teams turned out pretty good. So Kendrick Perkins can eat a dick.
My old man always said that, that everyone loved Jordan so much, but before there was Jordan, there was Dr. J. Dr. J
The
was
doctor.
he was on the New York Nets. That's when
He was the one that made the dunk contest popular.
Exactly. In the ABA, balled out in the NBA, in the ABA. Then they moved to, the ABA dissolved. He went to the NBA and balled out in the NBA again. Champion in both leagues. I don't think he ever led the league in the NBA in scoring, but he was a multiple time scoring champion in the ABA. And he
won titles in both leagues.
Runs rings around. Paul Pierce, I mean, to be honest with you, without much thought, I'm pretty sure we could find 3 or 4 small forwards better than Paul Pierce that should be on this list. The Dr. J is the first one easily that comes to mind, but I don't really think it would take a lot of thinking. Paul Pierce
wasn't the Iceman a small forward?
Yeah.
Wasn't George Gervin a small forward?
Yeah,
absolutely. Bernard King was a small forward. Dominique Wilkins was a small forward. I mean, Dominique Wilkins never won a championship, but he also played in the era.
I mean,
of
shit.
Magic,
You
Jordan,
could say
Bird.
Barkley was a small forward, and I'll take him
more
over
of a-
Paul Pierce all day.
More of a 4 though.
He was only 6'4".
Yeah, but he still played a power forward. He had long arms, and he played a lot bigger than he actually was. But
You know what it is? Kendrick Perkins played with Paul Pierce, and now he's on ESPN with Paul Pierce, and probably thinks he's got to suck Paul Pierce's dick to stay on ESPN.
It's definitely
That's why he had to add him to the list.
the Celtic pride.
Fuck the Celtics.
He's sticking on the on the Celtic pride. And then he's also disrespecting the old school cats, man. Like if you go all the way back Elgin Baylor was a small forward.
Yep.
If you go Elgin Baylor,
Pistol Pete Maravich was a small forward.
He was a 2 guard, wasn't he?
No, he's listed as a small forward. If you look him up online.
If Maravich is listed as a 3, then it's an absolute disgrace that Paul Pierce is anywhere close to this list. And that we just thought for not even 2 minutes and came up with 3-4 guys that should be on this list before Paul Pierce. I will say that if this list was Kendrick Perkins' top 5 small forwards that got stabbed right before the season started and almost died and came back and still played in that season, then yes, Paul Pierce is supposed to be on that list. But if there is no caveat of people getting stabbed, then Paul Pierce should be nowhere close to this list.
And I also think it's disrespectful to put Durant at 4. Let's be honest. Scottie Pippen is not a better individual player than Durant. That's not even close.
I don't know.
I don't think it's close. I don't think as an individual talent, I don't think it's close.
You can
Durant's way better.
But you can formulate an argument because of Scottie Pippen's defensive abilities, and you want to talk about actually changing the game. He was their actual point guard. They didn't play with a point guard. They always had the person who was playing point guard was always a spot up shooter. It was a PJ Armstrong,
that's more of the triangle though than
was a Steve Kerr. But he was the one that facilitated the offense at 6'9", and then would guard the other team's best defensive player and
every night.
The
Pippen
only
would guard
person
the best
that ever
player.
put the clamps on Magic Johnson was Scottie Pippen. So you can make the argument for it. Durant rings around him, as far as just a pure scorer. And if they played 1-on-1, it would be a decent battle because Durant's long, but Scottie was too. He'd be able to.
Scottie was super athletic, man.
Super athletic, super strong. He was wiry. The thing is, Rick, it's old versus young right now because we remember watching Scottie play and watching live and watching him, literally.
And that team was unstoppable.
Clamps on people. And then when they got Rodman when they decided to play defense, they were all long. So you had, Jordan 6'6", Ron Harper was 6'6", Scottie was all of 6'8", 6'9". Rodman played, taller than he was. But
Rodman was like 6'10".
Yeah, but he would absolutely guard anybody.
And don't forget about Luke Longley.
And Scott Williams backing him up, North Carolina.
But it's no disrespect to me. I'm not saying he's not a great player. He belongs on that list. I just think as an individual talent, I think Durant's way better.
As
From
a
what I've seen.
scorer,
You can make
as a
the
scorer and a shooter, yes. But as an all-around player, I don't think so.
because
I think Durant's a great passer too. It's not he's not a good passer.
Yeah,
But that's what I'm saying. As a scorer and an offensive player, then Durant has better skills. He's a better shooter, passer, whatever.
He's a better ball handler too.
But
Yeah.
Scott,
you'll see some wars and Scottie Pippen getting involved in some things because they said the next Last Dance. So we're going to talk about the Last Dance on the next pod next week. The next one, and I know you're going to get caught up on it this weekend, Reek, because it's the Knicks episode.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm definitely gonna, even though it's sad, but I'm gonna definitely still see it.
It's because there's going to be the roller coaster of emotions in there because there's going to be some spots where you're going to feel the Starks dunk. We're the only team that pushed them all the way to the brink and should have beat them a couple of times in there. Xavier McDaniel is on that team instead of Charles Smith. We win that game that Charles Smith is missing layups at the end. So this
refresh my memory real quick.
Yeah.
Because this is actually a kudos for Scottie, which is why I actually think Scottie's underrated. So me saying this doesn't mean I think he's trash at all. The 2 years where Michael was gone, I remember the first year they lost to the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? And and to me, that's still the most disrespectful dunk I've ever seen in my life was unfortunately Pippen dunking on Ewing.
Well, it's not the most disrespectful of mine, and I'll put the video up of both of those. Unfortunately, to just show that we're fair, I'll put the Pippen dunk on Pat up there. But also, I was in the building when Patrick Ewing stared Lonzo Mourning eye to eye, took one step, and threw it down on his head in Alonzo Mourning's house. That's up there. But the most disrespectful dunk of all time also is on Alonzo Mourning. It's by Vince Carter, though, when he was on
on the Nets, yeah.
Yeah, he caught it. He cocked it all the way back and threw it down on Alonzo Mourning.
But the reason I like Pippen, too, is because he walks over him. Like, that's extra disrespect. Right? After you dunk, you just walk over him. Yeah.
Yeah, so
that's
Pat
crazy.
pushed him off of him.
Yeah, but he still did it. But so those 2 years, right? I mean, he proved his worth as an individual player.
Well, they lost
without Jordan carrying that team far. But what about the next year?
One playoffs. Jordan came back. Remember, he came back towards the end of the season. That's the year he wore 45, and they lost to the Orlando Magic.
So the 95 playoffs. So that's when the Magic lost to Houston. Because Houston won back-to-back, right?
And the Magic lost to Houston, because Nick Anderson missed the 4 free throws. Shaq moves on to L.A. 2 years later. If they win that game, if Nick Anderson hits those 2 free throws at the end of any of those 4 free throws at the end of game 1, and they win that first game, they beat Houston 5-6 games tops. They lost that game, and they took their heart, and they got swept.
Yeah.
That's why Shaq ended. If Shaq wins that championship, he plays his entire career in Orlando, and he's a Disney star for the next, however many years.
No, I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah. But it looks like Getz left, or his
technical difficulties.
Didn't pay his internet bill, or something. I'll stick a little picture of a digital Wookiee down at the bottom. But that's been CrackBacks. We're gonna holler at you next week. Everybody watch The Last Dance. 2 huge Knicks fans are on the screen right now, and as painful as it might be, we're the only team that took Jordan to the brink. So we're gonna watch the Last Dance come this weekend, and we'll talk about it next week. Have a good weekend, folks. Stay safe and Rona free. Out.